New Orleans Saints aren't close nor competitive, and Tyler Shough's debut against Los Angeles Rams, I think first time I've seen nor utilizing the headline. Ross Jackson, the backdrop from a Ramada Inn. Okay, let's hear what he's got to say. This is his reaction immediately after, I think it was immediately, after the Rams game.
New Orleans Saints have said in a couple of different ways that they are close, that they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, close to the 32nd team in the NFL. And they're only close because they're 31st, and the Tennessee Titans still exist. But, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing the Saints are close to right now. Well, I guess they're close to the first pick in the draft.
That there's promise, that there are things that are looking up, that they're building something, that they want to compete and be competitive. And after their performance up against the Los Angeles Rams, they've only proven the exact opposite.
Yeah, they ain't none of that. I'll tell you that. I mean, like they're so far away from competitive. They're not even. I mean, they're barely even right now. They're barely even a functioning NFL team. Honestly, like that's where they're at, and that's the short term. That's the right now. That's the week 1, week 2. That's these games. Okay, in the future. Can they build something? Is there something being built behind the scenes? Is there an identity or a culture or something happening? Is this the ground level? Is the concrete being poured? Possibly. But as far as what's on the field, it is as bad. Someone asked me this week. They said, is this worse than you thought it would be? Or about what you thought? And it's worse. No doubt. I knew we were going to rebuild. I knew all those things. But in the more, I saw some clips today that, I mean, just gave me GERD. And it was just Rashid Shaheed not being able to finish routes, him just slowing down on routes. One of them that could have been a touchdown. Alvin Kamara dropping a pass on 3rd and 7. It's just more of the same. It's the same stuff every week, right? That is what I didn't expect this year. I did not expect the players that were, even if you don't think they're that good, like, elite level, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara coming into this season, it's like, all right, they're pretty good players. Good enough. I mean, certainly good enough players. All right. Like, are they elite? No, but they're good enough. They're not, they're not like undrafted free agents. They're not, Dante Pettis. Like, these are guys who've had some success in the league, some more than others, but these are okay. And it's just week in and week out, and they're doing absolutely nothing. And borderline hurting the team at times. And all that has led to, I mean, probably the worst, one of the 3 worst offenses in the NFL. Titans, Browns, and Saints. That's it. Like, that's the conversation. And, I get the Shough stuff. I get the Rattler stuff. I understand taking your lumps there with young quarterbacks, but man, I mean, just how bad we've been running the ball, how bad we've been with our playmakers. Like, that's what has really surprised me this season.
So far. There were low expectations going into this game between the Saints, who were starting a rookie quarterback for his first career start, traveling on the road in a bit of a hostile environment, as it turned out, SoFi Stadium this time.
I'll look. Ross is kind of leading up to exactly my point that I just said. Like, perfect example of it. I knew the Rams game was going to be bad. We all knew that. I think my final score prediction on Friday or whatever was 31-9 or something like that, 31-10, somewhere in there. So this all played out pretty much exactly how we thought. But it was somehow worse with the 16 minutes time of possession, with the 4 3-and-outs out of the first 5 possessions, with the debacle at the start of the second half where we ran 3 plays and the Rams ran 26 plays, scored 2 touchdowns, and had the ball for like 14 minutes. Like, that's the perfect metaphor for the season, where I knew it would be bad, but not 15 points per game bad. Not this.
I'm around and going up against one of the NFL's great teams, right? One of the elite teams in today's league. Yeah. And it
honestly probably one of the 2 best. I think between the Seahawks and the Rams, probably the 2 best teams we've played. Even better than the Bills. right now. I mean, the Bills can figure it out. The Bills just beat Kansas City, but they got some real issues in the run defense. San Francisco, was hurt, whatever. But Seattle and St. Louis, Seattle and the Rams are legitimate, like, top dogs in the NFC right now.
Looked like they were entirely outmatched in a way that even still fell below the already low expectations. The New Orleans Saints are not close. The New Orleans Saints are not a competitive football team. At least that's not what they showed on the field up against the Los Angeles Rams. And I really...
Or the Bucks, or the Patriots, or the Bears, or the Seahawks.
Appreciated what it was that veteran safety Justin Reed said after the game, where he was talking about how the team has the right attitude behind closed doors in terms of making sure that they're working, that they're dedicated, that they're showing up, that they're getting things done, that they're not out there in public spaces saying bad things about where the team is and creating division, that they have a team of problem solvers as opposed to guys that create problems. But my favorite thing that he mentioned was a big part of the accountability factor is not just pointing out what's wrong with the team, but pointing out the solutions that the team would need to undergo in order to address those problems. So in that...
Oh, sure. I mean, the solution is pretty easy. We just got to start catching the ball, throwing the ball, running the ball, making tackles, pressuring the quarterback, stopping the pass, stopping the run, making field goals, starting quick, getting first downs, scoring at all, leading at all. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Same spirit. That's where I want to start with today's episode. Not just pointing out the problems, of which there are many, but looking at the possible solutions for this team. And as I looked and thought about and planned this show out and mapped out certain solutions to some of the Saints' largest issues, it became very, very clear that many of the solutions are not solutions the Saints are just going to stumble upon and get fixed and get implemented, rather, in order to get those problems fixed here in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we said it? Like, the answers to the Saints' problems are playing in the SEC or the Big Ten or the Pac-12 or whatever, the Mountain West, or the they're not playing for the New Orleans Saints. They are, like, we're years. I mean, this is, someone asked me today, how long is this going to go on? Which, I mean, yeah, the person was going through it. But, I mean, the honest answer is, like, probably at least 2 years, I think. Unless, like, this draft class we currently have takes a huge step next year and we draft some, like, rookie of the year level players. But this is a full-on overhaul. And to go back to what I said at the beginning of the video, I did not expect it to be this much of an overhaul because I expected those bridge players to be good enough to give us some cushion while the younger players got up to the level and we drafted players or whatever. But I mean, that ain't the case, right? And this is being filmed before the deadline, so I mean, Rashid Shaheed could be out the door in the next 24 hours, so anything, whatever cushion I thought we would have, like just leaning on Alvin Kamara, leaning on Chris Olave, or leaning on Rashid Shaheed, or leaning on Joel Johnson, or whoever, that's not there. So now it's like the running back position is a good example. All right, so Alvin Kamara has been not good. We don't have Kendra Miller, so all of a sudden now there's no bridge. It's just, well, I guess we either don't run the football at all or hope Devin Neal does something. But Devin Neal went into the season as our third string running back. So now you got to fix that entire running back room. You got to fix entire rooms now. So we're taking our lumps for sure this year. I mean, we're sellers at the deadline. So if anything, this could get worse. Now, Shough could take a step forward. He can continue to develop. He could kind of, so that's possible. But, if we really sell, if we really do a fire sale, which I don't think teams will be calling to get the players, but if we really did a fire sale, I mean, like, take a step backwards. I mean, if we sell or if we trade, Brandon Cooks and Rashid Shaheed and Yeah, then all of a sudden, a horrible offense just kind of gets weaker with his playmakers, right? So this is a couple of years for sure. So I think this year, next year, 2027, you start to the end of 2026, you'll see like, okay, you want to see some momentum, you want to see some decent performances, whatever, but 2027 is probably what you're looking at as far as like this whole like, you know, experiment to kind of be over.
Is what the statement that we're close, quote unquote, would indicate, that they are close to turning a corner, or that they are close to addressing some of the issues that they have, or that they are close to leaping and bounding some of the shortcomings that this team has on its roster and across its, organization, really. And
I'll give you another example. It's like, well, we got to fix our red zone offense. Brother, we got to get in the red zone. We can't even fix our red zone offense. We've had, 2 red zone plays in 3 weeks? I mean, you got to get first downs. Worry about getting first downs. Worry about just moving the ball at all, much less what you're going to do on the red zone. I mean, we're barely even crossing the 40. We're barely even getting to like the 35. So that's what we got to focus on. This is the definition of like, crawl before you walk.
And I think that that's still worth having a conversation about, because
we can have a conversation.
The Saints are not going to make a coaching change. The Saints are not going to overreact to what they have seen so far here in a 1-8 start. But
I don't think they should. And y'all know that, because that's not the answer. The answer is this roster. The answer is the personnel. The answer is who is on the field. Okay? Again, you go look at my Twitter. You'll see Rashid Shaheed not running out routes. You'll see drop passes. You'll see fumbles. You'll see all that stuff. The players have got to be held accountable. And this team needs talent. The way you do not move forward through this is if you constantly recycle coaches just because you think that something's going to happen. It's not going to happen. If you fire whoever in the middle of this season, guess what? Next week's going to be the exact same thing. So, yeah, I don't think they should. They're not going to. I don't even think that's a conversation. But, I think Kellen will be given every bit of 2.5 years to really just kind of do this thing. And at the 2.5 year mark, if it's like, hey, man, this is still really bad, I think that's when you have the convo. Don't forget, like, Dennis Allen was going to get the full year. He was going to get that full year until Gale stepped in. So I don't think that's even a conversation, and it shouldn't be. But we got to get talent in here quick. We got to find it, and unfortunately, this doesn't matter. Where you can't sim to the draft. You can't sim to the end of the season. You got to play out every week.
They need to react. They need to do something, because right now it's going to get harder and harder and harder to get anyone to buy in on what the vision is supposed to be for a team that clearly lacks an identity on both sides of the football. And if they do have an identity, has failed to replicate that identity and turn it into success. So let's talk about some of the things that the Saints have struggled with. And what possible solutions are, and what the timeline for that could potentially look like. And I'm telling you right now, it's the timeline part that might be the most sort of saddening and frustrating for a fan when it comes to this entire conversation. So the Saints struggle to run the football, right? This is a team that had one 29-yard run thanks to...
it's almost an understatement at this point. The last couple of weeks... struggle to run, it has been like zero running. It has been zero success on the ground, and zero like attention to, like, even attempting to run the ball.
Quarterback Taysom Hill, who went in for a series of plays at one point and had 57 rushing yards in total. This is now the 5th consecutive game in which this team has not been able to rush for 100 team rushing yards. And again, 57 yards, 29 of those came on one run. And in fact, that 29-yard run was the only rush by the New Orleans Saints that went for over 4 yards in the entire game. What do you have to do in order to be able to fix that? Well, a lot of this comes down to the protection up front. The New Orleans Saints have not been a successful team when it comes to blocking in the run game. That might mean then the next question becomes, how do you actually address that and make it better? Well, that's probably personnel changes, if we're being complete.
That's going to be the answer across the board. It's going to be personnel changes is the answer across the board. And that's why the process is so long.
Honest, but the Saints don't necessarily have the better options to turn to on their roster. So that feels like that's part of what the Saints should be looking at going into this offseason. And ideally doing so with veteran players, not draft into.
Yeah, I think with the line, especially like guards and stuff like that, I think you do go and sign free agents, because guard is a weird position where you don't want to draft it too high, but you don't want to keep putting in 5th and 6th rounders and hope they can figure it out. You almost would rather say, look, we'll pay somebody who we know can do the job and we'll play them at guard. And that's how I would approach defensive back's kind of the same way, honestly. I look at defensive back very similarly. It's like, just go get a guy who you can do the job for a year, 2 years, whatever. If you catch lightning in a bottle and he has a great year, cool. But if not, whatever. And use your draft picks on different positions. So yeah, at guard, that would be my, like, one of my top high end. Tight ends probably is up there too. Like, go get a tight end in free agency who can play the position, who can be successful, who can be dynamic or whatever. It doesn't have to be elite all world, but just go get a guy who can exist and like a Zach Ertz type player. Just go get him. Go get that level of player. I'm not saying Zach Ertz specifically, but that level of player. TJ Hawkinson, Zach Ertz, whatever, where they can just do the job as asked of them.
Develop players, something that this Saints organization has proven that it can't do successfully as of right now. And so go out there, find the veterans that you can plug in, and probably want some bigger bodies on the interior, most specifically. So a possible solution there would be going to free agency and trying to find the players that meet the profile that work for a Kellen Moore run game, because it doesn't feel like the Saints necessarily have that.
Yeah, that part is true across the board. Like, Kellen's got to find his guys, which is another reason why, like, constant turnover kind of gives you like a mismatch unit. You'll have like half Sean Payton guys, or a third Sean Payton guys, a third Dennis Allen guys, a third, or I guess we're past a third now, but partial Clint Kubiak guys, partial Brandon Staley guys, partial Kellen Moore guys. You kind of got to have just kind of a consistent idea of what this roster needs to be. And yeah, I fully believe Kellen does. I mean, I'm not splitting the atom here, but Kellen does not have his guys to do what he wants to do. So you got to give him the opportunity to bring those guys in.
The other thing is finding running backs that are going to be able to go out there and pick up yards after contact.
That's probably through the draft, just drafting, high upside running backs who can play, or a free agent. Or I don't want to say a trade, because we shouldn't be trading for anybody, but a free agent running back can come in and do the job. And I mean, we need like a starting running back. We need a guy they can lean on. We need a guy who's our belt, like who's the franchise running back, who's the dude. So maybe that's a big splash in free agency if someone becomes available, but because you never really want to take a running back super high either. But that's another personnel thing, unless Devin Neal is that guy, but that's a big ask.
That this Saints team was very good at early on in the season. Running backs not so successful with it, often going down on first contact here throughout this game and really over the course of the past few weeks. It's an eye test thing, but the analytics back it up as well. Over on the defensive side, the New Orleans Saints could not get off the field. The Saints offense possessed the football for just 16 minutes and 7 seconds, a franchise worst. And according to Nick Underhill over at New Orleans Football, the 13th worst game in NFL history when it comes to time of possession. So the run game would help you stay on the field in those situations. The Saints went 3 and out in their first three possessions, 4 of their first 5 possessions, not something that's going to go their way. But the Saints defense also could not get off the field, particularly during the third quarter, where the Saints possessed the football for only 1 minute and 12 seconds. In fact, they had, that's just game time. according to Kellen Moore, over 40 minutes of real time, or around 40 minutes of real lifetime between a touchdown at the end of the first half where maybe you thought, okay, this team is maybe finding something here, until when they finally touched the ball nearly 10 minutes into the third quarter.
Yeah, but I think Tyler Shough threw one pass. Like, I think he threw one pass, and then the next time he threw a pass, it was 34-10.
Acceptable for New Orleans. You're not going to be able to win football games that way. So not being able to stay on the field on offense, not being able to get off the field on defense, compounded to create a really, really challenging situation, not just for rookie Tyler Shough, but for the New Orleans Saints as a whole. And finally, the Saints' inability to get started, period. That's the end of the sentence. Their inability to get started is something that has been a big issue for this team from the very beginning. And the play calling in particular in scripted plays should allow you to be able to get a first down in the same.
Yeah, I mean, the first 15's got to be better. And that falls on Kellen. I mean, I've seen some horrible quarterbacks and offenses look really good on that first drive. Okay, so this is something they got to figure out. Now, the drives where, they're moving the ball and there's a fumble or whatever, I'm not really talking about those, but just the 3 and out. And the Rams ones were so weird because I think the first 3 and out was a 3rd and 7, and they completed a 6-yard pass. And I think there was something, and the Brandon Cooks, which ended up being a first down, was similar, where it was like 3rd and 9 or whatever, and they completed a 7-yard pass, and Cooks kind of somehow found a way to get beyond the stick. So I don't know if that's just, I don't know if it's the quarterback or the play or whatever, but the first 15 has got to be better. Those first 15 scripted plays, the first quarter, I mean, this is one of those things where, like, to me, this is much more of a red flag, or much more of like, hey, what's going on here, than the whole roster thing. The roster's bad. We knew the roster was going to be bad. That's going to take some time. Okay, fine. Well, I'll see you in the draft, right? But this is like, okay, how are we this bad out of the gate every single game? 3 and outs and just nothingness. And like, the Saints are, I think, the worst first quarter team in the NFL. They're getting rolled in the first quarter. That's the thing that can change the fastest. And that's got to change quick. I mean, we're giving a lot of grace here. It's a new rebuilding team. It's a new coaching staff, all that stuff. But, guys, this should be the easy part. The first 15 should be the easiest part of the game for this team. And it is the hardest for this team.
Saints have not been able to do that consistently enough to start games, nor have they been able to do that consistently enough to open up the second half. That's a big thing Kellen Moore has got to look at. His strategy when it comes to scripting plays, why it's been so inefficient, and how to get that adjusted. Because if you can't put together scripted drives, you're going to have a really, really tough time outside of when the defense is playing off at the end of each half, which is where we saw the Saints have the most success so far in this game. Coming up next.
Well, I mean, it's also like, it's Kellen's thing. He's the offensive coordinator / head coach. If anything should be good, it's those first 15. That should be the one thing week in, week out that's like, all right, good scripted drives. This shouldn't be a nightmare every week for the scripted drives. So, that's got now. I did a video earlier today talking about this. These things absolutely are worth talking about, and they're absolutely red flags. But we should not just press the eject button at the first sign of the red flag. Kellen's going to get a chance to fix this thing, but he's got to prove that he can fix it. He's got to prove he can fix these issues, just like the penalties at the beginning of the year and some other stuff. This is the sign of a good coach, is if a problem arises, you got to be able to innovate, evolve, pivot, whatever, and fix it. And if he fixes it, fine. If this is something that continues and lingers all year long and then is starting next year, same problem, all of a sudden now it's like, okay, this problem's sticking. Now you're not showing that you're capable of fixing this or figuring it out or whatever. I have faith that he will. But spoiler, it kind of has to happen fast because it's about to be the 10th game. Hey, we're getting kind of deep into the season here. So this is the time. The Saints are playing the worst part of their schedule easy peasy lemon squeezy compared to the first part. If you're going to get some momentum and you're going to show signs of life, now's the time to do it. And if we end this year on a high note, and a high note for this team is just scoring over 20 points, but if we end this year with some momentum and a high note, and we show some life and we show some resistance, okay, very different offseason. If we end this season where we can't score in the first quarter, we're not leading games, we're scoring 14 points a game, a little bit less of a happy offseason. All right. Okay, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Get on down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.